I really wanted to justify why it might be necessary for a woman to make a choice that doesn't involve exclusively being present with her family, right? And I think that that's the cool conversation that we get to have right now, right? To talk about partnership in terms of balance, being able to co-parent in a different kind of capacity so that everybody can get all of their needs met.
In the words of Thomas Wolfe, you can't go home again. But if you do, it's not likely to be an easy landing. As told by writer-director Anna Campbell in her new film, Nora, balancing parenting, working, and a creative life can be an impossible task. This is a portrait of the physical and emotional pressures of modern motherhood and a woman in rediscovery. Campbell also stars in Nora, and this is her directorial debut, which includes her original music. The film asks the big question, can a woman have it all? Can she dream and pursue her passions, even while focusing on what matters to her, family and her children? Forced to choose more often than not, mothers are left at the bottom of the list. But music is a form of release, and it's the artists who encourage us to reimagine a world where passion and big dreams can be included. Join us while we sit down with the writer, director, and star of Nora on Inside the Arthouse, starting now.
Hi, I'm Greg Lemley.
And I'm Raphael Sparge.
And welcome to another episode of Inside the Arthouse. Today, we're here back at the Royal Theatre, and we're joined by Anna Campbell, the director, star, writer, producer of Nora.
It's getting ridiculous, isn't it? Thank you guys so much for having me.
Oh, it's great to have you. It's great to have you. I'm going to ask you this question because, you're a mom. You directed this.
Yes.
You wrote it. You star in it. You wrote the music. And just because of the theme, I guess the question is, can a mom have it all, I guess,
Well, only caveat, I did not write the music. I helped with some of the lyrics, but my amazing friend Noah Harmon wrote the songs in their entirety. So this is a fabulous question, and I think it's exactly what the movie is trying to answer. I do think that we can, and this is the Pollyanna in me, but I think that the problem is that society has tried to tell us what having it all looks like, and I think that our job right now is to redefine it for ourselves. I think that if we make a better choices in the balance that we're able to have, then of course. But I was so clear as I started to make this movie that it was a crazy endeavor, of course, but that if I didn't do it, I wouldn't be showing my kids that I believed that they could follow their dreams. And I have two amazing little girls, and that just felt like the most important thing I could do.
So by example, you were sort of showing them that there's not just two choices, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is completely not selfish, right? This is completely for my kids. Just kidding, right? No, I mean, this has been my dream for a really long time, right? To be a professional in the entertainment industry. I spent 20 years in Los Angeles as an actor. I did fine, I made health insurance. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
But never breaking to a sort of another level. It was really exciting for me to get to choose the story that was being told this time around. That was actually really important to me. So yeah, I do think that there's a way to do it, but I don't think it involves other people telling you what having it all looks like, I guess.
Right. Well, there's a tradition, I guess, of moms having to sacrifice, and something gets lost.
Sure.
Something, Mildred Pierce or
Yeah.
Where, by having to step up in a way in which society doesn't expect of moms, that, then of course you have to give some, and I know you reference this in terms of the relationship with Ibsen's The Dollhouse.
Yes, absolutely. And, I remember reading that play in college, and just, and the story at the end of Dollhouse is that when it first premiered in the late 1800s, right?
1890s, yeah.
1880s, 1890s. The audience was up in arms when Nora leaves at the end of the play, right? She's basically been wronged. She's trying her best to pull everything together. It's not working for her. And so she leaves. And in our modern world, we think, well, of course, if you're being wronged, that's the thing that you do. But it drove me crazy that we couldn't get to the point over the course of the play that people wouldn't understand that choice had to be made. And my choice isn't leaving. We don't know exactly in Dollhouse, of course, what the finality of that door slam heard around the world meant. But I feel that I really wanted to justify why it might be necessary for a woman to make a choice that doesn't involve exclusively being present with her family, right? Being able to follow her our own dreams and our own selfhood. And I think that that's the cool conversation that we get to have right now. Do people say cool anymore, by the way? I feel
I still say cool. I don't know.
I'm putting myself in exactly my age category there. That's the cool kid's choice. To actually talk about partnership in terms of balance, right? To talk about being able to, to co-parent in a different kind of capacity so that everybody can get all of their needs met.
I mean, but isn't it interesting? I mean, in Doll's House, the shocking part of it is not that she left her husband and her kids, right?
And the kids,
she sort of went out on her own. And it is an interesting...
Although in that world, that's what maybe was your only choice. Obviously, we have more...
It probably was. And how amazing that we have more choices now. But I always wanted to be a mom. This was always part of my goal. I knew that from a very, it was never a question whether I wanted to have kids. There is no judgment for me if a woman chooses a different path. This is the worst paid full-time job I've ever had.
It's beyond full-time.
It's beyond full-time. But it's also so gratifying and so fun. And I have amazing, wonderful kids who open my eyes to the world in a new and different way, which is half of what the scenes in the movie are, where they get to observe things from a fresh standpoint. And that's such a gift to me. So I wouldn't want to be bad at being a mom in favor of being able to pursue my dream. It's really about that balance between the two. And when you have to ask for the external help and the community to come and stand behind you and the friends to step in and making sure that those relationships are just as secure for the kid as you are the security blanket, obviously, right?
Right. I mean, but obviously you have a partner who, in this case, also is in the arts. He's a musician and also really understands, as you say, co-parenting, how to step in and or how to kind of navigate.
100%.
Okay, mom's out, so I'm stepping in.
Exactly. Well, let's talk about the number of people who have supported me through this. Noah was our neighbor in Los Angeles when we lived down there, and he and his wife Jess were an amazing parenting team, and we could throw our kids at each other. They could come over to us and we could go over to them. But my partner is actually a documentary filmmaker, so nobody understands better the need to be on the road for 5 to 6 weeks at a time and alternate who's really being able to be there for the kids. So I'm in a very fortunate position that our life is set up to be able to create a career in the arts, and that's what I wanted to, I don't know. But I think that the film itself is not just about a career in the arts. I think it's about questioning that entire package. I think it's about wondering whether or not we're doing a good enough job as a society of making sure that women in particular, because we are still, saddled with the brunt of that labor, I guess is the right way to put it, get to ask themselves the questions about what they get to have also.
Yeah. I mean, again, going back to that, there's not just two choices. I mean, you've obviously sort of carved another way to do it. I mean, I am really aware, though, just one of the jobs that you took on is overwhelming, particularly for an indie film, right? And
just acting in an indie film is
just acting in it, right? Let alone acting, setting the shots, and obviously sort of producing this is your vision, it's your baby, it's your other baby, being able to be. How did you deal with the kind of the self-imposed insanity? Of what that was like?
I think it does help that it's self-imposed. It's not like anybody is demanding it of me. If this project doesn't get finished, it doesn't get finished. So I am obviously a type A, right? It borders on, I don't like to use the psychological terms for it, but I'm very organized, we'll put it that way. So
this is a good thing.
Right, I'm always careful not to diagnose myself with things I haven't yet been diagnosed with. So bordering on obsessive behaviors, I guess, is what I'm saying. But for me, there's nobody else I trusted more to play this part than myself as the actor. And I didn't know, I've coached actors as my day job for a really long time. And there was one moment when I was coaching an actor where I suddenly realized they didn't see an image when they read the paper, when they read the script. And
what do you mean see an image? What do you mean?
So when I read anything, whether it's fiction or whether it's a script that comes in front of me, there's a visual that pops into my head. And apparently about half of people don't get this visual. So I'm already miles ahead of somebody who might want to direct something because they don't see something when the story is being presented to them literarily, right? The other thing was that my mom is an amazing watercolor artist. Her trees are in the Storybook music video. as Nora's running through the forest. Those are entirely her artwork. And so she always taught me to look at things from a visual standpoint. So I think what I'm saying is going into this, I didn't realize how many skills I'd accidentally picked up along the way that would help me. So I don't recommend doing it like this for a first-time film director.
That was my next question. I mean, this is your first film.
My first feature film. I did a couple of
moly.
little shorts, and mostly it was working with actors on real pieces for them or getting auditions prepped. And I just suddenly realized I had a way of speaking to actors that helped them understand the story and access themselves, because I care deeply that the person across from me is comfortable and happy and all these things. So, I don't recommend it, but I guess I get to say I'm pleased with the result, and that has to be enough.
Yeah. The joy, I guess, is in the kind of finally bringing it together. I mean, I can't imagine setting a shot and then having to run in and be in the shot. Hopefully you had a DP that you really loved and trusted.
Oh my gosh. Kevin Fletcher is the most amazing, and we had the best artistic relationship too. I mean, I think that's really what it comes down to and what you need at the end of the day. I'm a very emotionally motivated director and artist. I don't have the technical expertise to say I would like to use this lens and this camera. And so he was deeply both patient with me and genius at quickly making good decisions. When I would say, I want this scene to be wide and feel really lonely, then he would be able to mold the existing, with our indie budget, circumstances to be able to actually meet those needs. And no, I mean, you got to work with people that you trust implicitly. 100%. And so what I would do is we do a couple of takes, and then when I thought, okay, that one might have been okay, I'd run and watch that one. And I'd have a monitor sitting in my lap while I'm sitting there as the scene is being set. So I'm like, yep, okay, that's good. Here's take my monitor. And then we go. And if I'd watched down a take and I knew, okay, I need one more, and then I wouldn't even watch that one because I would know what needed to happen for this is not the way you're supposed to do it, guys. It just happened to work okay this time around. So
yeah, I mean, I have always wondered. I mean, in terms of, again, having to sort of be inside and outside, as it were, because what a director is a set of eyes. So what you just explained in terms of a process. I mean, listen, wonderful directors and actors have been, it's been done many, many times. I don't know that I have a brain that could do it, but that's why I have enormous.
And let's be honest, so often the acting suffers because your brain is in two different places at once. But maybe it's just my, mom compartmentalizing. We do switch gears really fast because we have to go, okay, lunch, okay, work, okay, walk the dogs, okay, get to the store, okay, more work. We have to be able to switch gears a little bit quicker, I think. I mean, I know that's something I pride myself in. They say multitasking isn't really a thing, but I beg to differ.
Well, one of the key relationships in the film is the film with your on-screen daughter,
who is also my actual daughter.
That is correct.
There's a choice.
Let's take a look at a clip. All right,
great.
Here we go.
What is it?
Sadie.
Can we have something normal?
Sadie, you haven't even tried it yet.
Do you want me to make you a bagel?
Yeah.
Mom.
Oh, it's okay. She can have a bagel.
Whatever happened to eat what's on the table?
She's my granddaughter.
Mom, do you have any wine?
Yes, sure, but it's a weekday.
Mom is allowed. She's a grown-up. She has wine every day.
Excuse me.
Bagels! Bagels.
So now, in addition to, being in the scene and talking to your other actors and then directing the scene, now you're also having to sort of somehow figure out a way to kind of compartmentalize being a mom and with your daughter and be able to kind of give her direction. What was that like, I guess? How was that with your crew and around? I mean, what was that experience?
Honestly, it was amazing for me. I don't think it would be this effortless every time, obviously, but my daughter is very astute. She's very observant. She's very present. Both of my kids are really amazing in their capacity to focus and pay attention and be interested in what's going on. And I mean, scenes like this, unfortunately, come out of my real life. And so for her, it was being able to be with mom and play pretend and re-experience real truths. So we didn't have the sort of, okay, you have to take yourself to a whole different place. It was us modifying our relationship to the relationship that she has on screen, right? And that was really, it wasn't as difficult as it should have been, I guess. That's really the answer.
She spent years preparing for that moment.
Well,
she prepared me for that moment. Let's be honest
just when
about
did
it.
you hit upon the idea that, no, I'm going to have my daughter play my daughter in the film?
It was always the plan. So when I first started, when I first started writing the script, the actual first things I wrote down, she would say these zingers, and I would write down the conversation. And I started writing the script because of the fear that I might one day leave Los Angeles and move back home to Portland, Oregon. But it turned into obviously that becoming my dream coming true in a hilarious way. And so when I started writing down those conversations that we were actually having, it really put into very real terms the emotions that I was feeling, right? The situation that I found myself in. And so letting her help me tell that story was very natural. But when I asked her if she would like to be in Mommy's movie, she goes, "Oh, no, Mama, no." And I was like, oh gosh, okay, never going to stage mom, not going to be that person.
Right.
No one's going to force somebody into this ridiculous industry. That's a poor choice.
Yeah.
And not a parenting choice that I would choose to make. And so a couple days later after she said no, I was like, absolutely, no problem. We'll find somebody who is excited to do it. And she said, I asked her a couple days later, why didn't you want to be in Mommy's movie? I'm just curious. And she said, well, I don't want all those people staring at me. And I realized there was this, public vulnerability that she was afraid of. And so I explained to her how a movie works and that there's fewer people. And, it's really just she and I getting to have a moment and the camera captures it. And she goes, oh, okay, that sounds great. Let's do it. So just, again, that sort of being aware of the actual situation that's in front of me and being able to honor her feelings about it. One of my proudest moments on set, we were shooting the scene with the mean girls in the hall, and she doesn't even have any lines, and she broke down just hysterically crying. And we stopped, and it only took about 45 seconds, and I sat down in the middle of the hallway with her on my lap, and the whole crew waited, and she cried it out, and we got up and did the scene. And I'll never forget that moment, because I was like, this is the most important, right? This moment right here with my child, she needs me the most, and no one will ever be able to be there for her the same way that I am. I need to show her she's always safe.
1,000%.
And having those emotions. And so I'm very proud of that moment, and I'm really proud of her for knowing she's safe in being able to express her needs. Yeah. Can we all be like that better? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no kidding. Like, excuse me for a second. I just got to go sit on the floor and cry. Yeah.
I know, exactly. Do you want me to hug
my
you?
life would be
You've never done that on
think
set?
Of the therapy I would have saved. My God.
That's my goal. Save them from all the therapy I've had to have.
Yeah.
Well, you started on set at that age, right? I mean,
I was 4.5, 5 when I started, but I, and my mother also didn't want to be a stage mother, and really, really, I mean, I love that you kind of were. I think a lot of stage mothers do live vicariously through their children's career that they didn't get to have, kind of thing. This was not that, obviously, for you. But my mother was a successful as a costume designer, didn't want to push me in again because it's such a tough business. Like, why would you want to?
Yeah. So it was your choice. You were able to actually choose that.
Yeah, and ultimately that it has to be, I guess, because it's just so hard. It's so hard. Talk about I'm just on a personal note. I mean, you lived in LA. A lot of people left LA, including Greg, during the pandemic. That's a complicated set of choices. So I just wondered.
Well, moving home is a complicated thing. After
as you can see.
And I asked this not as a therapist, but I asked this because it is obviously so part of the theme of the movie, right?
Yeah. No, it was an impossible decision. I mean, I moved to Los Angeles to pursue my dreams right after college. I was really lucky to get to go to a really good school back east. And then all of my friends moved and started to pursue theater in New York. And I really wanted it's going to sound so terrible, but I wanted a bigger platform. My relationship with theater was this mad love, but I was bothered by how expensive the tickets were and how the access was not particularly high. So plus I visited a friend in New York at a shoebox apartment, and then a friend in Los Angeles who had just booked a pilot like lived right above the Sunset Strip and had this like monstrous place with light everywhere. It wasn't really a fair comparison, let's be clear. But so I chose to, and I think the West Coast was calling me back as well. I've always been, I grew up on the West Coast, and there's something about this side of the country that's still the wild, wild West. We get to make up our rules. We get to decide who we are. We get to invent and create and decide how we do things. And choosing to be in LA was being with the artists who were also pursuing this mad dream, right?
Yes,
and it was
yes.
incredible to be a part of that much energy.
There's an amazing community here in LA, particularly in the theater scene or just in the working actor scene or the wannabe working actor scene. I mean, all of us,
Yes, and there's a competition to it, but there's also a mad energy, and I found amazing people. I was really lucky to have a strong community. But I think that there's also something that becomes neutralized when all of us are doing the same thing. I'm being very careful here because I love Los Angeles more than anything, and I kind of miss it in obscene ways and can't wait to also be able to go back and work there. But it wasn't until I left and confronted my roots and the place that I came from and the limitations of a smaller town and the need to sort of force something to be real and happen that only exists in a place where you're not handed the sort of keys to the castle, then my dreams started coming true in a bigger capacity, I guess. And choosing to not just be an actor, but also be the one who decides which story to tell probably wouldn't have happened had I stayed there. It was coming here and finding this amazing local artistic community that for some reason just embraced me instantaneously and like helped me make those dreams come true. So I'm eager to be able to work in lots of different places and develop new relationships. But I don't think that this film or this phase of my career would have happened had I stayed in LA. So I can't really regret that decision.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
And your music, I mean, I know you said someone else wrote the music for the movie, but you're also obviously a singer and a musician and you write your own music as well.
I don't write my own music, no. So I was a musical theater geek, like hardcore. And at some point, the medium sort of lost effect on me, as I guess the way I'd put it. I still love it as an art form, but it stopped working for me in a way. So I found myself in indie rock, and I found my musical tastes in other places, and expanded my world from straight Andrew Lloyd Webber. This is sort of a return to that. In college, my voice broke. I was doing Stephen Sondheim's Company, and I was playing Jenny, and it's an incredible part, and she's a soprano.
Incredible part.
And women's voice is an incredible part. The whole play just blows me away. Yeah. Women's voices do change. It's just a little bit more subtle and tends to be a little bit later. And I didn't know that. Nobody had told me. And I wasn't formally studying at that point. I was just enjoying singing. And it was devastating to me. And so I really stopped singing completely and didn't consider it one of the skills I was going to put forward. I knew I could pick it up and, sing a song as needed. But so the cheesiness is the amount that this film is me finding my voice again just sort of transcends all of the levels. And the songs were written by Noah Harmon, who's a dear family friend, and I really want to throw all the credit on him for the musical genius that has happened here. And he helped me to find the right way to get the songs made and find my voice and wrote them within my range and within my capability. And, to the point where we completely rewrote one of the songs because it no longer fit in the film. And what he came up with, knowing me at that point so well, was so much better than what we had initially attempted. It was the most, again, like the creative relationships I've gotten to have on this film are just ridiculous and, lifelong now friends and hopefully people I get to work with again and again, which is, I think, the way a creative, world should go.
Yeah. Creating that sense of community where you can sort of put together. I mean, there's so much that you can do, and that you did do. I mean, literally shy of driving. Maybe you did as well. Driving the trucks is
I did.
And getting the coffee. We do rely on people to kind of. It's a communal art, right?
Yes.
So it takes a lot of different people to make these things. Yeah.
And that's the point, right? The point is this is the one art form where you have to combine all of the art forms, right? We get to play with light and with picture and with color. We get, or not color if you choose to shoot in black and white, fine. With sound, with an emotive state. We're so lucky, but I don't think you should try to do that alone. And I think the whole point is to put this in front of a larger community and say, hey, we had some feelings. You're okay to have these feelings too, right? That to me is the job of especially independent film and especially, high quality entertainment, that we challenge our hopefully very broad, ticket buying audiences to feel okay with their very feelings. And, the number of moms who have seen the film and said, thank you, I finally feel seen, just blows me out of the water. That's what we want, right? Is to say, I felt really alone. And by making this, now somebody else doesn't have to feel anywhere near that alone.
That's just great.
Right. Well, there's also a big element of being in that sandwich position. You're being a parent to your child, and you're also confronting your own parent, the way they raised you, and without being, judgmental or necessary, maybe
Yes.
the way that we've chosen to raise our children differently.
We're so lucky that the sense of what parenting is has expanded. The science on it is so much clearer now than it was before. And the opportunities to choose to parent an individual differently than the way that our parents were ever parented, right, it's a different world right now. And I feel very grateful that I get to raise my children here. My parents are amazing. Let's state that.
That's right.
They didn't want to be in the film.
This is not my mom.
Mom,
Yeah,
when you
this
listen to
is-
this, you did a great job, right?
Mom is amazing. I mean, I literally she got to help me make the film, and I would not be here without them. They helped produce it as well. I mean, I'm the luckiest daughter in the world. But also, there's an expectation that comes from a generation of parents of, well, we know how to do this, therefore that's the way it gets done. And I'm so relieved that my kids get to go, how do you want to do this? Let me help you craft the way in which you would like to approach being a human. And I hope that that's what comes across in the relationship in the film, too, is that I've seen so many movies about parenting where it's the hardest thing in the entire world and it's impossible and how gross is this thing? And I don't feel that way about it at all. I love it. I love getting to, go and pick up leaves, because when's the last time we had an excuse to go do that and look at the sky and declare something beautiful? My youngest will always point out when something is an exceptional thing. And how lucky am I to get to live in that world, right? But I do think that we find ourselves in now the world is all upside down in a million different ways, but where each child gets to be parented the way they need to be parented. And I think that's hopefully more parents are absorbing that kind of parenting.
Yeah.
Now that is the great Leslie Ann Warren playing your mom in the film. How did you get connected with her?
Can you even? How did I get this lucky on my first feature? Do you know it was a straight offer? She was my dream come true. And I sent it to her agent, and bizarrely, moments later, it wasn't quite moments, but practically moments later, I had a yes. And I couldn't believe it. I was so nervous. She was only on set with us for a day and banged out all of that amazing work. And I just, my poor little brain was exploding. But an amazing thing happened when we were working. And at one point I got really excited about a shot that had been set. And I showed her the monitor really excited. And she looked at me, and it was suddenly like she realized I was dead serious about this, that I was approaching this as a real artist. And from that moment on, we had the most amazing talks, and she shared about her life and has been an amazing support system. And, we talk all the time. And I just feel really lucky that that's how that happened. And at one point I asked her on that one day on set, I said, why did you say yes to this? And she looked at me a little bit like I was crazy. And she goes, it's a good script. And I don't think I realized how much I needed to hear that until that moment.
Particularly from her, right? Yeah.
Particularly from someone I respect that much, and particularly from someone who's had such an incredible, been such a force in our industry and had so many incredible roles, and always brings her whole self to everything. And I can attest to that 100%. There was no holding back. The final scene that we have together, there's the scene that you write in your head, and then there's the scene as it comes out. And that one is one of the examples of she and I just finding each other and going on the ride. I never wanted to vilify the mother character for the life choices that she made. There's simply a difference in the way these two people see the world and have decided what's important. And I think that, the pain that she expresses, which is almost greater than Nora's in that moment, is that disconnect and that inability to quite see each other. And I can't, that performance blows me out of the water every time I look at it, that she's so present and so emotional there. And in the moment we felt it. I mean, it was beautiful.
And we have another clip, I guess, that we can show of you and Leslie Ann, I guess, in a scene.
Yeah, let's take a look at that.
Let's take a look at that scene.
Nora, Sadie, it's only 8 a.m.
No, when you're in full makeup, so you're ready to receive us.
Oh, be careful, you'll knock me right over.
Can I have candy?
Of course.
Yay!
She eats too much sugar.
Right. She does. It's true. Do I smell muffins?
As Leslie Ann Warren is astounding. She is amazing. She's wonderful in this film. And as fate would have it, last night we were in this auditorium actually watching Choose Me, which was the 40th anniversary of her. And she spoke glowingly of you because we said we were going to talk to you today.
Stop it. Oh, wow, you're going to make me cry. I mean, I know I feel that way about her, but that she says nice things about me, obviously. Yeah. You know, I'm a first-time director. What am I doing here? How did I get to work with talent at that level? But I will say I'm so proud of surrounding myself with a cast of actors who have come from all different aspects of my life, including Becky Silverman doing some amazing casting and finding me Nick and some other actors. But, the woman who plays Sally is my college roommate, and Kate Miner, who I was in class with for years and I've written with. Like, you shouldn't get to have this talented a group on your first feature. It's not normal. And to top it off with Leslie Ann Warren is it's stupid. It's stupid. I mean,
it's pretty great.
Should everyone be this lucky?
It's a dream come true for sure.
It's a dream.
So you finished the film and now you've gotten distribution. I mean, you are opening in New York, you're opening in Los Angeles, you're opening in DC. Yeah. Is that right?
Yes.
And other places to come, I'm certain. How did that happen? How did you? I mean, because a lot of people finish their film and then, okay, I finished it. And then it kind of, there is no next step. So how did that next step happen?
Thank you for asking, because look, the distribution for independent film right now is really difficult. It's become really easy to get a film made because digital is so much less expensive.
Right.
That doesn't mean that all films are created equal, unfortunately, of course. And so rising to the top of that pile of content that's now available is a trick unlike any other. I aligned myself with an amazing woman named Annalisa Shoemaker with Suncatcher Productions, and she has worked in distribution for a really long time and worked, I guess it's independently distributing, but we like to call it sort of a dynamic distribution platform because we didn't get bought by a larger company, but we are taking this in all of the traditional formats straight out into the market. So our goal is to change the way that distribution can happen by finding our audiences directly, by relying on the art house theaters and the amazing audiences that still do want to see these films. We really believe that, to actually, especially when there's content that really catches a specific group. And I think that if there's anything that I've learned in having to do my own marketing at the same time as well, it's that knowing your audience intimately and being willing and able to lovingly reach out to them and say, I think you might like this, it changes the nature of the relationship. I am not good at sales. I don't go, please buy a ticket. I go, I think I have something you need. And that's a different conversation. I'm very bad at being like, will you please give me the dollars? That's not what I can do, but I can say, I think I have something that you need to hear. And so we're insanely lucky to be booked in these amazing theaters in Portland and in LA and New York and DC. And we'll expand that if there's room to, but also we're excited about the down the line distribution. There's some really exciting things that can happen in digital distribution. It's not the same experience, but especially because we have moms as our core audience, I got to tell you, most of them are not going to take 4 hours out of their day and pay the babysitter and all those things. So I think we have the obligation to figure out down the line things too. But every independent filmmaker dreams of getting to go in the theaters first.
I have one question. I mean, how important is it for you to be in a theater? I mean,
everything.
Just talk about. I mean, it's from a filmmaker point of view, from the marketing point of view, from meeting new audiences point of view.
Yes. I didn't start making films so that people could watch them on their phones. I'm delighted if eventually that they do, but
it's a reality.
It's a reality. No, and we'll get it to them.
And it's an opportunity. I'm not anti.
100%.
Yeah.
But it's not even down to there's one shot in the movie that I think every time I look at it, I think, God, I love this shot more than anything. I'm sitting on the floor in the hallway and it's this really long shot and she's super isolated. And every time I look at it, I think to myself, if you aren't watching this on a big screen, you're going to miss the subtlety of what's actually going on for this person. You're going to be dependent on a tiny thing. And thankfully, the shot does express a lot of what I wanted to express all by itself. But we design these things to be shown on a big screen. So it's not just that the amount that it's important to be in theaters is there. It's that I believe communities want to turn out. I believe we need an excuse to come together. And I believe that the conversation that independent film can have, if you come together in community, the lobby afterwards, the spreading of word, the telling someone you saw something that really affected you and touched you, when you get to be immersed in something in a darkened theater, hearing the responses from people around you, it's never going to be the same thing, no matter how glorious a setup you have at your house.
Right. No matter how big your TV is, right? Yeah.
No matter how big your TV, right? And I'm sorry, but watching, with your husband on the couch is not the same thing as seeing it in a room with a group full of other, women and moms and people who have had to make these hard choices. So knowing that the audiences who physically come have a very different relationship to the film than those who choose to watch it at home and will be inspired in a different way, that's where we get to actually make our big splashes. So again, not just that it's important, it's everything. And when you've had a successful run in theaters, the demand becomes that much higher when you get to the downstream distribution platforms, right? So you have to be able to,
arguably,
we
even
don't
if
all
it
get
hasn't
this
been
choice.
successful, but at least, but it was there. It's out there, and that's important.
But I do think that as independent filmmakers, for a long time, we were able to depend on, it's in theaters, I'll sit back. And I don't think we get to do that anymore.
No.
In all of the cities, I'm reaching out to moms groups. I'm making sure my friends are coming. I'm asking people to bring people. And I think that that's our responsibility in expanding our audiences. We have just as much responsibility in supporting you, the theater owners, and the art. Well, no, I do think that this matters. It's a mutual relationship, and we need to start putting more money into the marketing, more energy into the distribution, and stop thinking that we're done when the film is finished. I don't think that's true anymore. Maybe I sort of wish that it was, but it's kind of nice to get to take full responsibility for the magic that you've made actually getting into the right hands, right?
Well, you know who you made the film for at some level. I mean, it's not that there's men can't enjoy the film, or I think they absolutely can and should. But there are people that you want to see the film. There are people that need to see the film to understand their own relationships with their parent, with their mothers, with their daughters, with their all
choices.
Of that. And you know that at some level better than any marketing person. Now, they may be able to advise you on how to do that, but you can really target who the audience is that you want to see this film.
Yes. And I do, by the way, I have hired an amazing team of people who are my support system in this, because I don't exactly know what I'm doing, but I know, like you said, who I want to go after. One of the most amazing moments for me, I sent the film to a fellow filmmaker that I'd recently met for notes, who was a man and a father. And he said, F you, stop putting myself on the screen. And I was so shocked, because in my head, this has always been a female story, right? But to recognize that he also found himself in it just as powerfully as the moms that I was making it for. This isn't just a story for moms. I know it's an easy thing to market too, but it's a story for anybody who's had a dream, is in transition, has had to make decisions and give something up or choose something over something else. It's got to be okay that we recognize those moments and say that was hard, and I still have options and I still have choices. It doesn't matter if you're in your mid-40s or if you're, 22. Nothing is ending. We always have a choice, I guess.
Yeah, no, I mean, you are your film's best advocate, and again, just to sort of applaud. I mean, you live the movie, but you wrote the movie. You've done so much as relates to kind of actually making it, but now to also then be on the back end, as it were, and really sort of be so hands-on in the marketing and then the distribution is just fantastic. I mean, it doesn't happen without that. It just doesn't happen without that. And if you don't have that skill set, you kind of you hit an endpoint, I think, pretty quickly, or you become a kind of a link, a link on a Vimeo link, essentially, very quickly if you don't do what you're doing. So kudos to you.
It's so kind of you. Thank you so much. And I also want to say, the experience, I came from straight acting. I always just wanted to be an actor. Now all I want is to direct and choose these stories that are being told. That's a way more empowering situation, I'll tell you what. But all the years that I spent begging for jobs effectively, had I known everything that I know about what it takes to get something all the way down the line, all of the different aspects of it. I mean, I was very good at hitting a mark, but I didn't understand why, right? I was really good at matching. In fact, one time I got a call from the editing room from the director of an episode of television I was doing. He's like, "Thank you for matching so well." I was like, "Oh, I thought that was just our job." But this is not a regular occurrence, right? That an actor understands, or, even a filmmaker understands all the way down the line. And I've seen so many really good independent films where I'm like, I don't know who I'd market this to. I don't know who the target is. And so I didn't make this film going, oh, I'll market it directly to this audience. But because I made it from a really personal, really passionate, really intentional place, that became obvious once I got to this phase. And so I highly recommend everybody have to do this before you're allowed to go any further.
and when you're hired again to be on a set of someone else's movie, you're going to come to it with an awful lot more information and empathy.
Even some empathy for the director.
Right, yeah. Exactly.
And passion for the why, right? Passion for why. No, we do need this to be, I don't know. Yeah, no, I totally agree. And look, I'm the luckiest. Nobody gets their first film straight into theaters unless you've already put way too much energy, like me. That I'm already in a category I don't quite understand how I got to. But I do firmly believe that from the very beginning, I said I was going to do a thing. And that goal-setting mentality and all of that has really helped me to get to the point where, no, I also need people to see the magic that I made, I guess.
You know, one of the things that we get to do essentially is talk to filmmakers who have done this, who've climbed these sort of extraordinary Everests that you've climbed, and what's amazing is that the people, the filmmakers who do get to where you are, it is so many skills, but it is also it's an act of passion and ingenuity. So you have pulled rabbits out of hats that you probably didn't even know you had, and again it's very exciting to be able to kind of really see this happen for you, have this moment of you opening in theaters and being able to kind of touch audiences and do this. You did it. I mean, you are an example of being able to have it all. You've done it. You're
not really supposed to make me cry in an interview. That's inappropriate. Thank you for saying that. I'm the kind of girl who supports anybody who gets the opportunity. So I want this for other people. And if there's anything that my learning can help somebody else to make this an easier process, great. But I'm really fortunate to be in this position, and I'm really fortunate to be surrounded by incredible people who have loved me and supported me along the way. So
that is fortunate.
Thank you. You guys included.
So let's see. So it's April 4th today, and the film is opening in Portland today. It's April 11th. We're going to be in Los Angeles, April 18th in New York and Washington, D.C. And you're going to be, I know you're coming to Los Angeles. I think you're coming to Los Angeles, yeah?
I am.
Call all your friends, get them to get their butts in the seats. Right? Yeah.
Where can people get information about where the film is? Is it coming to a community near them? And
we'll get all of the ticketing links up at norathemovie.com.
Norathemovie.com.
That's our central location for sure. And just we're really grateful. I mean, the fact that people are turning out and buying the tickets, and that the amazing people in my life are supporting the spread of the word. This is how it goes. Our community is everything to us. And may I just thank everybody who's said nice things and sent the ticketing link, and you guys for having me. And it's just kind of magical.
Congratulations. Huge congratulations.
Thank you.
It's an enormous achievement on every front. Truly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anna, thank you very much for joining us here on Inside the Art House. Really enjoyed our conversation and enjoyed the film. I know you made a reference. You said, I know someone's not going to hire a sitter. Well, you know what? Tell your partner, spouse, husband, whatever. You got the kids tonight. I'm going with the mom down. I'm going with the mom down. I'm bringing the mom's group.
The mom brigade.
And by the way, I really think seeing this with your mother, seeing this with a teenage daughter, to let them understand what their opportunities families and choices in life can be. I mean, it's all so important, and being able to do that in a theatrical setting where everybody's going to be focused and not be looking at their phones or, wanting to, whatever.
Check out, right? Check out. No, I think it's so true. And also, I'm grateful for you saying
it's a lot cheaper than therapy, I'm going to say.
So much cheaper.
And the popcorn's better, right? My therapist popcorn sucks these days.
It's so true.
And the therapist has that nagging thing that I can't drink, during the session. And, it's fine in the movie theater.
Plus, 95% of the time after a therapy session, you're crying anyway. You might have cried, but you will leave feeling good from this film. That's the most important.
Yes,
she's
absolutely.
not a downer.
It is a feel-good movie, for sure. Yeah.
Pollyanna over here, making sure everybody
All right,
feels
it's
good.
Nora, norathemovie.com for more information. Thank you for joining us here on Inside the Art House. If you enjoyed the episode, please like and subscribe and share. And, if you think this is a film that you're going to enjoy, you should go find it and also let other people know about the film.
Thank you, Nora. Thank you, Nora, for being here. Thank you, Anna. Oh, my God.
It's confusing who's who, I get it.
It's your alter ego. Yes, right.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Thanks for being here.
Our show is produced by Raphael Sparge with on-site producer Noreen Dickerson. Supervising producers are Miles McCreary and Thomas Cassetta. Our show is edited by Gabriel Lemon and mixed by Thomas Cassetta. Our musical theme is composed by Isabel Engman and Gerardo Garcia Jr. Marketing by Gabriel Lemon. Show graphics by Jenna DeAngelis and show open edited by Rick Pratt. Filmed at the historic Lumley Royal Theater in Los Angeles, California. See you next time on Inside the Art House. If you like today's show, please consider subscribing to our channel to hear more on Inside the Art House.